Have you ever noticed how quickly we judge our lives? When something goes wrong, we ask, why did this happen to me? When something goes well, we think we earned it all ourselves. But life has a strange way of turning things around. What feels like a blessing today can become tomorrow's burden, and what feels like a loss can quietly save us. The truth is, we rarely understand what anything really means while it is happening. Only time reveals that. So before you rush to call something good or bad, listen to this story. Because maybe it's about you too. In the early 16th century, in a quiet farming village somewhere in the European countryside, there lived a poor laborer named Thomas. He wasn't anyone important. He didn't own much land or have any special skills. His house was small, built from rough wood and stone. Most years, he grew just enough barley and vegetables to survive. Some years, not even that. But Thomas never complained. Not once. While others cursed the rain or envied richer farmers, Thomas simply worked. If he had bread, he ate. If he didn't, he waited. If the day was hard, he slept. If the day was good, he slept the same. No matter what happened, he always said the same thing, "We'll see." People often wondered how he stayed so calm. Living with him was his only child, a boy named Lucas, and their most valuable possession, a sturdy brown mule named Bryn. Bryn wasn't beautiful. He wasn't fast, but he was strong. He pulled the plow, carried wood, and hauled grain to the mill. Without Bryn, Thomas couldn't farm at all. To them, the mule wasn't just an animal. He was their survival. One autumn morning, Thomas walked to the shed to harness Bryn. The rope lay loose on the ground. The mule was gone. At first, Thomas thought Bryn had wandered off. So he searched the fields, the riverbank, the forest edge. Nothing. By sunset, the truth was clear. Bryn had disappeared. Maybe stolen, maybe lost. Either way, gone. When the villagers heard, they shook their heads. "Poor Thomas," they said. "He's finished now." That mule was everything for him. Some even pitied Lucas. How will you survive winter without an animal? But Thomas only nodded gently and said, "Maybe it is bad. Maybe it is not. We will see." People frowned. How could he be so calm? If it were them, they would be furious. But Thomas simply repaired fences and worked the soil by hand. Slower, harder, but quietly. 3 days later, something strange happened. At dawn, Lucas ran into the house shouting, "Father, Father, come quickly." Thomas stepped outside. And there, standing near the garden, was Bryn, covered in mud, hungry but alive, and behind him, 2 wild donkeys from the hills. The animals must have followed him back. The villagers couldn't believe it. "You're lucky," they said. "You lost 1 animal and gained 2 more. God has blessed you." But Thomas just smiled. Maybe it is good. Maybe it is not. We will see. Again, the same answer. No excitement. No pride, just calm. The next few weeks were busy. Lucas tried to tame the 2 wild donkeys. One slowly learned to carry wood. The other was stubborn, strong, unpredictable. One afternoon, while trying to load sacks onto its back, the animal kicked violently. Lucas fell. A loud crack echoed. His leg twisted unnaturally. He screamed. Thomas carried him inside the cottage. The village healer came, broken bone. Months before he could walk again. Now the whispers returned. First the mule leaves. Now the boy is crippled. What terrible luck. Those wild animals only brought trouble. Lucas sat in bed, angry and bitter. "Father, everything keeps going wrong." "Why us?" Thomas touched his son's wounded leg and said softly, "Good or bad? We cannot know yet." Lucas didn't understand. How could a broken leg be anything but bad? Winter came early that year, and with it, rumors. Travelers passed through the village, speaking of war. A distant lord fighting another. Armies gathering men. Taxes rising. At first, people ignored it. Wars happened far away. Not here. But one freezing morning, soldiers arrived. They carried the king's banner. Every young man fit to fight was ordered to join. No choice, no arguments. The blacksmith's sons, the miller's boys, farmers, friends, all taken. Crying mothers filled the streets. Thomas stood silently outside his house. The captain looked at Lucas, then shook his head. Broken leg. Useless to us. They moved on. By sunset, half the village's young men were gone. Many would never return. The village felt empty, too quiet, too still. Days later, news came. The first battle had been brutal. Heavy losses. Names read aloud in the church. Mothers collapsed. Fathers stared blankly at the ground. The same people who once pitied Thomas now came to him. Tears in their eyes. You're fortunate. Your son stayed. God protected you. If not for that injury? They couldn't finish the sentence. Thomas sat beside Lucas and said gently, "Do you remember when you said your leg was the worst thing that ever happened?" Lucas nodded slowly. Well, perhaps it carried a different purpose. For the first time, Lucas understood. Life returned to its slow rhythm. The field still needed planting. But something inside Lucas had changed. He watched his father differently now. Not as a poor, unlucky man, but as someone who understood life better than anyone else. One evening, as the sun melted behind the hills, Lucas asked, "Father, how do you stay calm when things go wrong?" Thomas looked at the sky glowing orange and said, "Because life is longer than a moment." He picked up a stone and tossed it into the river. The water looks disturbed for a second, then it becomes still again. He smiled. "Everything passes, son. Joy passes. Pain passes. Nothing stays forever." He paused. If we celebrate too much, we become proud. If we despair too much, we become broken. Better to walk steadily and let time explain things. And maybe that is the lesson for us too. When life feels unfair, don't rush to call it a curse. When life feels perfect, don't assume it will last forever. Because what you see today is only one small page of a very long story. A loss might be protection. A failure might be a redirect. A delay might be mercy. We simply don't know yet. So be patient, stay humble, keep faith, and remember, good or bad, time will always reveal the truth. If this story spoke to you, take a quiet breath tonight and trust that your life is unfolding exactly as it should. And maybe the thing you're worrying about right now is secretly saving you.